Good evening, everyone. This is the People's International Chat Show coming from the doorstep, People's Doorstep Referendum. Welcome to the show. I want to welcome everybody on the chat already. A lot of people there. We'll get to you in a minute. Let me first introduce the panel for tonight. First, start with one of our regulars, Nancy MacGyver. How are you doing? It's been a while, yeah. But it's great having you on again, definitely. And then somebody that needs no introduction, I think, Mr. Martin Keatings. How you doing, mate? And we'll get to that in a minute. And then a good friend of mine, Mr. Daniel Thu. How you doing, mate? Yeah, great having you on, mate. For people that know Daniel, he has a tendency to kind of swear every now and then, to put it mildly. Daniel, so we put in front of him a swearing jar. So every time he swears, he needs to put a coin in it. So just so you know, through the show, if you say cling, then you know what it is about. All right. Um, I think there might be something wrong with the sound. How's things now, guys?
I can hear everything okay.
Yeah, you can hear, but it was people in the on the chat saying they could only hear me.
All
What?
right,
I
okay.
made a slight change, and I know there's about 15-second delay, so please, people, let me know if the sound's okay. Um,
I'm using my phone, so I can't check, basically.
yeah, well, there could be an option as well. All right. Uh, People, I'm not getting any feedback from you, so we're just going to move on. Just going quick around the panel. Nancy MacGyver, Martin Keatings, and Daniel Thu for the people that didn't hear it. Um, Welcome, guys. First topic for tonight, the upcoming Scottish election. Um, a lot of, well, you have to be careful what you say online, of course, but a lot of discussions, let me put it that way, online about the whole S&P 1 and 2, S&P 1 Pro Indy 2. And technically, that's not a bad thing, but the way it's going on now, it's more like, oh, if you don't feel the same way I feel, you're a unionist, and that's
Yeah.
coming from both sides. So, and that's just pretty damn sad. Um, Martin, let me start with you. You joined AFI, and so how do you look upon the upcoming Scottish election?
Well, it's certainly more toxic than I would have hoped it had been. Obviously, I'm an independent, so but I've joined AFI because AFI's basically an alliance, not your atypical party.
Exactly.
Um, Things have gotten way toxic. So I mean, pretty much my decision has been made entirely on the mathematics of the situation. Um, Collecting as much empirical information as I can, and then rendering my decision based on facts rather than aspersions on both sides of the fence. And everything over the last year has led me to believe that we have, based on the information we have, is that we are going to end up with a very similar situation to what happened in 2016 with regards to the election. The SNP might increase its seats by a couple, but ultimately, because Scotland's politics have become so polarised between yes and no, you have a situation where the actual figures are going to be relatively the same. So, for me, at least, and I'll stress this by saying this is my personal opinion, a bit obviously based on the facts. We have to be looking further in a system that's specifically designed to stop an overall majority, to exactly how we can make our votes matter. Now, for me, I'd always intended to stand for Holyrood anyway. I have been, I've said that for, well, nearly 3 years ago, I think was the first time I mentioned it to you, Raymond.
Hmm.
Um, and I was an independent. So I had to reevaluate my position, because standing as an independent on the list means that if I meet the threshold to get elected, all the votes that would come later would be wasted. So
Yeah.
obviously, I wanted them to go to other people behind me. Now, I was approached by ISP. I politely declined on the basis that I don't like to be constrained by the party politics, and I've also had offers to stand for other parties. But ultimately, I didn't want to be restrained. AFI gives me the best of both worlds. I both get to retain my independent status, and at the same time ensure that we can it filters down to people after me if I'm, say, the first name candidate on the list. In Fife, I guess I have a bit more of a benefit in Fife, Mid Scotland and Fife, compared to other regions. And that benefit is that on one hand we have a really staunch yes following, and on the other hand we also happen to have the biggest Orange Lodge in Scotland. So it's really polarised. The SNP get 120,000 votes, so they pretty much take they take every single seat in the constituency ballot, bar one, and even that one is marginal, and they may very well take it. In which case, Willie Rennie gets knocked out, which will be Partey. He's also starting on the list. But that's 120,000 votes that when you translate them across to the regional list, and those same 120,000 people vote on the regional list, you have a situation whereby the SNP get 0 seats, none. And looking at the figures, they would need an additional 46,000 votes in order to get just 1 seat. So voting for it's not really a choice. Voting for the SNP getting seats on the regional list in Mid Scotland and Fife is almost non-existent. So the question becomes, well, what do you do with your vote at that point? And in my case, and I'll say it openly and honestly, I would hope that people in Mid Scotland and Fife would vote for MILF and AFI. And if they want to do, I mean, we would with less than 50% of the vote, we could knock 3 unionists off the list completely. Bearing in mind, Murdo Fraser sits on the regional ballot here in Fife. So
Winning grid.
that's less than 50%. We could get 3. If we were to get more than that, we could get 4, maximum of 4 in this area. But our first seat would come with only 18,000 votes. That's 1/6 of the entire SNP vote in this area. So, it's really easy for me to make that, because things are so polarised and so clear here in Mid Scotland Fife. It has to be a situation SNP 1, AFI 2. So other areas are slightly different, but I would certainly plead with people, don't make this decision based on your heart and your head. Make it based on your head. Look at the facts for yourself, look at the figures, read the material, and then just base your decision on that. Because if we deliver a supermajority, then it's a clear and unequivocal mandate. It's a clear picture that this is not just about the SNP. This is effectively a rainbow coalition of pro-independence parties saying we will have a vote whether you like it or not, and that is a powerful message for any country to send. So I've been talking for a bit too long, so I'll turn it over to you guys. Sorry, I've wanted just as you see, things have become so polarized, and you've been you have to hold your tongue. So I just wanted to get that out there.
No, you're absolutely right, mate. You're absolutely right. I mean, we talked about it on Monday night show as well, and like in 2016, Tommy Sheridan warned us about the um, um, amended the Hunt system and how everything works, and he went. Of course, he made the like we're doing now with Effie, is he there for solidarity, of course, or a pro indie of anybody's choice, but he said he was accused of splitting the vote. But the thing was, they only got about between in the Glasgow area 2 to 4,000 votes, and that doesn't even make a dent. But he still gets accused of having split the vote. And people ask me, well, where were they? It's one of the most idiotic things somebody said as an argument. I'm not saying they're idiotic. I'm just saying the argument was idiotic. And there was, well, the new parties, where were they in 2016? I mean, hello, they're new parties. So it wouldn't be there in 2016, but that's a argument that they came with. I mean, that's just ridiculous. But
Uh,
also, what's that?
Sorry, the answer to that one is quite simple. There was no need for them in 2016
Yeah,
because we had no idea. It was really the first election just after the referendum.
yeah,
We had no idea that politics in Scotland was going to become so polarised between yes and no. So
exactly.
there was no requirement for them,
Yeah,
but there is now. So
exactly. By the way, Kevin Camperman Rowling said, Martin Keatings, take a breath, buddy. You nigger yourself. But no, but also another thing. In 2016, at the S&P got just around a million votes in the list voting,
And got 4 seats.
and they got 4 seats. The Conservatives got
Half that.
just above 500,000 votes, and they got 24 seats, with almost
yep.
half the votes the S&P got. Now, I'm not saying that if you choose to vote S&P one and two, then I'm against you, because the people that do those hard, I wouldn't even call them discussions, but the hatred that's shown against each other from both sides has nothing to do with being against a idea or whatever. No, you just are against everything that's not how you think, and that needs to stop. That really needs to stop. You have to think about what's best for your country. And
Hmm.
if a million votes only get you 4 seats, and as the Tories, 500,000 get you 24 seats. Now, who's doing the right thing? And that's what we need to break. We need to break that mantra of S&P 1 and 2. I'm again not against the SP. I'm an S&P member, and I'm a proud S&P member. I'm just saying, but if you're an S&P member, it doesn't mean that you need to agree with everything. You don't. You don't. You can say what you think. This is a free world. But yeah, it's just unbelievable how people can react to each other. Nancy,
This is a difficult one. Obviously, I live in Fife. I know where my vote's going. And like yourself, Raymond, I'm an SNP member and proud to be one. You know, I've looked at quite a lot and I've read quite a lot, and people are on one hand are shouting SNP 1 and 2, and others are saying SNP 1, another pro-Indie party 2. And then they're attacking each other. And I'm thinking, why would you do that? But people are scared that the vote's going to be split and that's going to hurt an overall majority for the SNP. The way I look at it is the other pro-Indie parties, and Martin, you can correct me if I'm wrong, could be doing the SNP a favour.
Hmm.
Oh yeah,
Because
without a doubt.
Because obviously, if the SNP on the list seat only, because you know the SNP are getting my first vote, right reason or none, but on the list, if there's another pro-Indie party there, bringing the SNP votes down, regardless of how that finishes, the SNP could end up with less seats as well.
and
Is that
and
a possibility?
and again, Martin, again, don't correct me if I'm wrong, but the idea of AFI was to bring everybody, the whole Yes movement together under one umbrella. That
Was.
included that included the SMP.
Hmm.
It's their choice not to work with us.
That's right.
Well,
Mhm.
what I would say about that, and this is from my personal experience, but I'm not AFI per se. I'm an independent. I'm staunchly, fiercely an independent because it allows me to kick ass and flipping compliment in equal proportion. But I started this journey with conversations with parties, and obviously I didn't want to give up my independent status. And then I moved on to chatting with the AFI, and it started from a conversation. And it's been a progression. I've now seen what AFI are doing. I've been able to see insight and the work that they have done with in terms of their internal infrastructure as a party. There've been motions galore for months about ensuring that everything's thing. That what most people don't realise is they actually have a provision in the constitution of their party that says they will support a pro-independence government and ensure that that pro-independence government stays in power in order to deliver independence. They will support unequivocally, without any asking for anything, any vote or any piece of legislation that is required to bring about that independence referendum. And that is in the Constitution. In fact, holding true to those values is what caused a lot of the delays in getting registered with the Electoral Commission, because they refused to give them up. Now, when I speak to all the different AFI members, and they're from all walks of life, the one impression I get is that what AFI have done is they've looked at everything that divides the movement and they've tossed it aside, and they focus solely on the things that everybody has a united front on. And that is solely what they've contacted on, and allowed the things that people disagree about, the candidates will be able to vote on with their conscience. But when it comes to independence and things like that, that's what you have to sign up for. But it's not a problem to sign up for that, because it's things we all share anyway. And there's not this standard bickering within AFI. There's this united front, and I have become so enamored by that. That viewpoint of all these people that are working hard in the background, that and Raymond will know this as well. I have actually put myself forward to stand for the NEC of AFI as the vice convener of AFI. They've astounded me, and it's not often I say that because I'm a moaning sod. You all know that, but I am privileged to work with these people. They really are a good choice, and that's just it. You hit the nail on the head before, Raymond. They are. They have asked, and they've extended an open invitation. Come and work with us. Come and work with us. And anybody that decides not to work with them, well, that's not AFI's fault. That's the other party. They are saying, come and speak with us. Come and sit down with us. Let's unite and let's stick it to the unionists. Let's deliver independence for our country. And it is. Oh, I'm flabbergasted. They are a genuinely really nice group of people. It actually astounds me, because it freaked me out, because I'm not used to the hostility of politics in general. But there's just none of that. It's just.
Yeah, but I like you probably know, I spoke at the last conference, and the funny thing, the S&P 1 and 2 mantra was shown there as well, but not by all S&P members that spoke there. Because what you see is that they either say S&P 1 and 2, or they say vote S&P. And also people high up, if they say vote S&P, then you know they're not following the S&P 1 and 2 mantra. And I think that's a good idea, but they're just afraid to probably say it, vote pro-Indie party in the second vote. Daniel.
I'm virtually in agreement with everything that you're all saying. S&P 102, I think I did want to interject, but obviously I need to let you do yours first. But the thing with the 2016 one is that we didn't have them parties then. We didn't need them then. But it's shown us, the 2016 election showed us how the D'Hondt system really works. And how the fuck did we get fucking 500,000 Tory voters in Scotland? What?
Pay as you go swearing.
You know what I mean? That was bugging me then. But 520,000 Tory voters.
We should have a buzzer, guys.
sorry, folks.
No, no, no worry,
I
no
mean,
worry,
but
no
that
worries.
I had to do. And listen, I put 3 in just in case, right? But
No, but
yeah,
yeah,
my point is about the 2016 one. It showed us. It actually showed us. Sorry, it showed us what the hunt system really does, how it works, what's happened, and the fact that the list votes get multiplied, well, devalued by multiplication. I won't swear, right?
Maths.
Multiplications, right? It gets thing is reversed, isn't it? So whoever gets the most votes, the other parties get the diluted votes. And this is kind of how I've worked it all. And I've looked at all the different. I mean, we spoke about this the other night. I've looked at all the. I do my own research. I don't get everything right. Of course, I don't. But it's more and more looking now that AFI is an umbrella, right? I'm not going to mention a certain other organisation because that's where that certain organisation was at the beginning as well, and then it became something else. But AFI, what I'm seeing with that is they're sticking to that, and there is only one main mantra to do with AFI is bringing everybody together for what that one common goal that we all truly believe in, and I've got it in my head that SMP 1 and 2 doesn't work. I do see one. I think the SMP are more about having the number figures. They don't care. It's not that they don't care. I won't say that they don't care. They do, of course, they care. But I think it's bigger to the hierarchy of the SMP is to just have the number figures to be able to say, well, we got this many votes and we got this and we got this. We beat you, beat you, beat you. Do you know what I mean? There is I don't know what the right word is, where they. I just think that the hierarchy of the SMP have got a little bit, and I'm not slagging. I'm what I'm trying to explain is, I do think some of them have settled in, enjoying the benefits that comes with being a politician, and that ranges from financial to all sorts of things, doesn't it? Protections and whatever else. I think quite a few have settled into that. But personally, my personal thing is, I think that you have to look at these other pro-independence parties, and especially the ones that are going to come under the same umbrella, like AFI, to be given serious consideration, because the one thing that we all see on Facebook and social media all the time is Murdo Fraser. How the hell? He's never won an election, but he's always got a seat. And there's a few of them like that. So how do we get rid of these? And all my research and everything I've tried to do, I came to the conclusion, and lots of other people's conclusions at the same time, that it has to be another pro-independence party that's going to hold the most powerful independence party to account and to get a move on, because there's not trying to stray into too much different territory, but the people's action, to me, why the hell did they not back that 100%? All right. But do you know what I mean? All these things are interconnected. They're all interconnected. Do you know what I mean? And to me, I cannot understand that for the life of me, why they would not back that.
Yeah.
Well, no, carry on.
There's another thing that I get asked or told even, is that, well, we got the majority in 2011. Yeah, because at that point they beat the system basically because they didn't get as much votes in the constituency voting,
Labour
and
got the
that's
most votes and theirs got diluted.
exactly.
I could be
That's why
wrong
you
on
go,
that, but to the best of my
and
knowledge, that's
that's
how
why
it
you go,
was.
and the thing is that if you don't want to see that, just read up on it. The figures are online. You can read them. You can look them up. It's just, yeah.
What happened in 2011 was quite simple. The entire system, if you imagine it like regional list and constituency, it's a set of scales. So as one
Exactly.
goes up, the other one goes down. It's
Exactly.
designed like that specifically. However, there is a point in the middle where there's a small overlap, a very small overlap, where if they don't get, they get just enough seats in the constituency list, but not too much, that allows it to sit at this level where they make gains. And they hit that Goldilocks zone by pure and utter fluke in 2011. Bear in mind, the system is specifically designed by Westminster not to allow that. And it just so happens they hit that. But with polarisation of politics since the 2000 referendum between yes and no, it's now always going to be like this, or it's going to be like that. There's going to be no midpoint. So as a direct result of that, the SNP are not going to get list seats. It's just it's not going to happen. It's just maths. It's simple as that.
I agree with you. We're almost halfway through the show already, but we only discussed one topic. So I want to move on now. We've got some important things to talk about as well. So I want to just leave it with people just get knowledgeable, read up on the Hansen system and how it works.
Please research. Yes.
Read it up. There are a lot of videos online. It's not something we're trying to put in your mind or anything. It's on there. It's been put in place by the Westminster establishment. So please look up on it. That brings us to our next. No, before that, I want to go through the because we're already halfway through the show. I want to go through the comments a bit. That was about the sound. Want to say hi first to Ellie Gistelli, Jim McIntyre, Sandra Wallace, Rab Buchan, Keith Brown, Ruth Henready, Robert Wilson, David McFarlane, Ian Middleton, Lenny Hughes, I mentioned him before, Kevin Kemper Van Rolling, Maggie Brennan, Irene Manson, Faye Kennedy, Catherine Stevenson, and George Aitken, Alison Clark, Sandra Burke, Dave McBeath, I don't know, Dougie Leganby, Daniel Henderson, I don't know if I already mentioned him. Let's see if we got some good comments. But can these pop-up parties get enough votes, considering that there has been so much unrest? We have to get the SP past the winning post. From Dave McBeath, that is. Martin, can you answer that question?
Yes, it's your choice whether they get that amount of votes, and I would seriously recommend that you consider looking at the facts for yourself, because if you read the maths and you read the facts, you can come to one conclusion, that we have to elect someone else on the list, and then it becomes your choice. And don't let anybody else tell you any different. It is your choice who you vote for, period. Exactly. And I would hope that you would give it to AFI. So,
Lynn Miller is asking if your video is stopping and starting again, or is it just me? She said, well, he keeps freezing a bit for about 2 seconds and he moves on. So I don't know if you knew that, Martin, but that's what keeps happening. So, yeah. And let's see if there's anything else.
I was just laughing there when you said, it's freezing for about 2 seconds.
And I froze. And I froze. Really? All right.
Yeah, it's BT. We've actually got a fault in the line. They've not been able to get round because of COVID-19. So,
yeah. Daniel, Ruth Henry says, I do enjoy Daniel's accent and his I don't know. I don't even know how to pronounce that. She does like your accent. All right, let's move on. And again, we're moving to Martin first because he's gonna give us a update on the Section 30 court case.
Yeah, I'll make this one quick. We're going to where we always said we were going, the inner house. The paperwork was filed on Friday. We're now moving into the inner house the court of session. This is Scotland's highest court. There'll be a procedural hearing on Friday. People can get dialing details from the Scottish Court's website to allow them to listen if they want to. We're asking for an expedited move. It's what's called an urgent disposal, so we can get this question answered and still be able to go to the UK Supreme Court if required, but primarily to get this answered before the May election, because it's really important to get that done. So we're asking for that. That'll be done on Friday. It'll be before Lord Malcolm. Then it'll, if he accepts that, there'll be expedition, likely just after the release of the bill by the SNP, around about that time. So we're talking sort of end of March. It'll end up in the inner house, and that'll more than likely be the Lord President, which is the highest judge in Scotland, and 2 other judges. And then we'll take it from there. So that's pretty much the updates at this moment.
Awesome, mate. Well, any of Daniel and Nancy, do you have any questions about this to Martin?
No, I get regular updates anyway. I'm always
That's
just
right.
happy when Martin actually comes on and explains it in an easier way for me to understand, so it's fine.
Definitely, definitely. Daniel,
I'm the same. I'm the
yeah,
same. I get the regular updates. I get the emails. I follow. As soon as the anything needs like bounce, I call it bounce, but shared, whatever, getting the front crowdfunders, whatever. All I can say, Martin, is you have got the backing. You've definitely got the backing with us all, pal.
definitely.
We are following this so unbelievably close. We really are, and all I can say is thank you so much for having the balls to take this, to do this, fight it through, and you're standing by absolutely everything. I don't. I'm very kind of a skeptical and objective person. However, I don't believe this is all. This is about you. I think you are the one person that's doing this for this country, and you're
Definitely.
fighting hammer, tooth, and nail. Which I've got to say is a bit of a breath of fresh air recently. All I can say is I'm just waiting with anticipation, really am, and I just can't understand how this could go against us. We are sovereign. We are sovereign. Me as a citizen of Scotland, I am sovereign. I am a sovereign citizen of Scotland. I'm a sovereign Scot. I'm classed as that. I might be English by birth, but I'm Scottish by choice. I love this country with all of my heart. I don't even own a passport. I have no intentions of going abroad. I love this country. If I need to go on holiday, I can go anywhere in this country. Normally, not right now, but normally. And yeah, all I can say is power to the people, and it's the people
Definitely.
that need this power to do this. We need to
Definitely.
pull this off, and this going on back to the election thing, because it has all got a big part to do with everything that's going on right now. We need to send that massive, not just a majority, we need to send a signal to the rest of the world, because the world is watching
Oh
us
yeah,
right now.
definitely,
They are watching us right now.
definitely.
That was my final word on that matter. Okay, just for now anyway. And I didn't swear once.
No, definitely. Before we go to the next topic, I wanted to do something, but I forgot again. So that's something that I was at forget what I wanted to say. But no, let's just. Oh yeah, I mean, last week after the show, we did this bladder at the bar kind of thing, where about 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes after the show, we would make the Zoom call available to all in the chat that wanted to join and talk with us. We're going to do that again this week. Colin, our usual host, he's going to be on for that. So please, if you want to be on, we will post the link to the Zoom call about 10 minutes to 15 minutes after the show in this chat, in the group chat on the People's International Chat Show, and the People's Doorstep Referendum page. And you can just click on it and you can have a talk with us, just so you know.
Can you pop that across on forward as one as well, just to make sure that it's the guys.
I can put it
FEO
in that chat as well. Yeah, definitely. I'm not going to put it on the group, but in the
Great.
chat. All right.
Cool.
Okay, next topic. Again, we go to Martin first. It's a topic that he wanted to talk about, and I think it's a great topic to talk about. Unpaid carers. Martin.
Daniel, could you do me a favour and just put a penny in the swear jar for me? I'll pay you back later.
How many? 3.
Cool. Right. Let's get real. I think it's about time we got real on the question of unpaid carers, because for the last decade, you all know I'm a carer for my mother. And the one thing that I never see really featured when it comes to elections is unpaid carers, and I want to put a stop to it right now. It's got to stop, especially it was brought this thought into focus for me has been this pandemic. It does not matter which way you pad it, or you duct tape over the top of it, or you wrap it up. You can't call it. You can't wrap a turd in coconut and still call it a snowball. It's simple as that. Carers have been abandoned, and it's not a case of, oh whoops, we accidentally forgot it. It is a deliberate attack on individuals. Now, bearing in mind, one in six of us will become a carer at some point in our lives. These people, and I'm not just talking about Scotland, I'm talking about right across the UK, save the UK pre-COVID 136 billion a year. They said during the COVID, it's estimated that this year alone they will save 210 billion. And put that in perspective for people, that is the equivalent of the entire National Health Service budget for England, Scotland, Northern Ireland, and Wales combined. That's how much money unpaid carers save. Yet we still pay them the lowest amount in benefits. They have no workers' rights, no right to time off, no right to working time directives. They have no employment rights whatsoever. They have no pension and benefits. They have no employee pay schemes. They have no holidays, no maternity leave, no sick days, nothing. And when the private and public sector carers are working in a household with somebody that requires assistance, if they go off or are ill and the company can't cover that, it gets left to unpaid carers. Most carers that are working, full-time carers that are working just now, admit to being in at least £8,000 worth of debt. They admit to working a minimum of 60 hours per week, which is breakback work. And this is not easy work. But yet the legislation that underpins things like carers allowance and all that sort of stuff specifically makes provision to ensure that they are not declared as workers. There is no difference between the role of an unpaid carer, a public service carer, or a private carer. They do exactly the same job. And I think it's about time that we bring this into the national discord, especially in the run-up to the 2021 Holyrood elections, and say enough is enough. An entire health and social care system has been built on their backs for decades, and they simply are totally 100% ignored by the politicians, and it has to stop, and it has to stop now. A carer in Germany gets paid €1,300 a month. A carer in Scotland, bearing in mind that carers in Scotland get a little bit more because it's made up to the same level as job seekers, is paid £70 a week. Carers allowance is so bad that they have to get income support or universal credit, whichever one of the two. Boris Johnson, and I'm calling him out for it now, there are half of the carers on income support, which is a legacy benefit, and half of the carers on universal credit. The carers on universal credit got the £20 COVID uplift back in April. The carers that are on income support didn't. So they're still not being paid that. They're having to buy all their PPE, which is for themselves. And most carers use PPE as a matter of course, by the way. There's a lot of carers use it to simply perform their function. At the start of this pandemic, they diverted all the supplies to the NHS, which is fair enough, but they made absolutely no provision to ensure stocks get into unpaid carers whatsoever. So, and I just like to put it out there for you. Imagine doing personal care on somebody that's severely disabled without gloves. And then when they put no price protections in, so when PPE became available again, what happened? The same PPE was 3 times more expensive. Now, you imagine being on 60 odd pounds a week with your carer's allowance and you're having to spend £10 on a box of gloves. That's 1/6 of your entire income for the entire week. So it needs to be addressed. It needs to be addressed now, not 5 years or 10 years or when we'll get to it. It needs to be addressed now. And I am asking, no, I am begging the Scottish people to turn around to your MSPs and say, what are you going to do for carers? Because these people have no union, they have no representation, they have no voice, and it is absolutely disgusting, and it needs to be dealt with. So there we go. There's my introduction. So
I totally
guys.
agree. I totally agree with you, mate, completely. And I think I would have loved to have Pat Lee on for this topic at least, because you two would have filled the whole show just on this topic alone, I think. Definitely. Daniel, Nancy.
Nancy, when you go.
I wasn't aware of the full extent yet, so thanks for that, Martin. It's bloody awful. Bloody awful. And yeah, I'm with you. This has to be looked at and dealt with. Why are people having to take on? Wait, that's not right, because obviously you're looking after your mum. Why should carers not be getting paid to do that? Because at the end of the day, if there isn't any carers to look after a parent, or a loved one, where does the care come from then? Do they get a paid carer then to come in?
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what happens. They would get a paid carer to come in and look after the person. And here's the irony. If I was to give up being an unpaid carer, I could go and look after somebody else's mum and get paid at least the minimum wage.
That's just wrong on all levels.
Yep.
Definitely.
There's one statement I hate, and I'm going to call out every single politician for it, because most politicians think this is actually praise for carers. But the phrase I hear the most often is, we love carers, we respect carers. They give up work.
Patronising.
To look after. Just listen to those words. They give up work to look after. No, carers don't give up anything. Caring is their work. It is their job. Sure, it might be for a loved one, but it is their role. They perform exactly the same function as private and public sector carers. Period. There's no difference between the job. The difference between an unpaid carer is they concentrate on one person 24 hours a day, whereas those that work for care companies care for a multitude of people over a shift. That's the only difference between the two. But I'm not even given the status of worker, whereas they are. So, employee, sorry. So,
no, absolutely right. I mean, it's really a shame. I mean, I just can't imagine that being the case over here. It's not the case over here, although it's not the same. They don't get paid the same, but it's still they get paid a certain amount a month. And from what I hear from you, that's just ridiculous. I mean, I can understand why any party would stand behind that policy.
Well, can I interject there a
Yeah.
wee bit, Raymond? I was under the impression actually that the only party in the UK as such, I'm going to say the UK, right? Here in Scotland, they are trying to address it. Maybe not. I know, obviously, Martin, I didn't understand fully the extent of it, even though I have been a carer quite a few times in my life. I've been a carer for my mother and other, grandparents and so on and so forth. But I thought I was under the impression that because I do hear the SNP talking about it, that they were trying to address it. Now, I know nothing's going to change overnight. However, I didn't actually understand the full extent, because it is different now to the way it was when I was doing it, which was quite a few years back. And I mean quite a few years back. you didn't have the problem about the PPE and all that. Well, not as much as what it is now, because we're more germ controlled and germ aware and so on and so forth now. And especially with the pandemic, PP has probably become the biggest business in the bloody world right now, hasn't it?
It probably
along
is,
the
yeah.
line,
Yeah.
you know. Hence the reason, you know, all the Tories are still raking it in, you know. But anyway, we won't go down that road. But yeah, I actually genuinely thought that the SNP in a whole were trying to address this issue. Like you said, they've got the top ups here in Scotland, you know, but I thought they were going to try and do that extra step further and get these rights for home carers and things, you know.
Well, that's the problem. When it comes to workers' rights and all that sort of stuff, they are actually reserved. It's really only things like the benefits, like carers allowance, which has been devolved to Scotland under the since 2014. But even that, so there's a very limited scope. It's not just to do with that. For instance, this is the UK government says you can work. Now, income support and universal credit are reserved to Westminster. Carers allowances is under the remit of the Scottish Parliament. But they turn around to you and say, you're a carer for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They turn around and say, well, if your income's low, you can actually go out and work if you want. Now, the second you go out and work, because your income support is means tested, they will take pound for pound off you for
working.
The money that you're getting coming in from doing the second job, right? Once you hit the means tested threshold, they then take your carers allowance off you. So now you're working two jobs for half the pay. On top of that, your carers allowance is linked to disability living allowance and personal independence payment of the person you're caring for. So if they go into hospital, which is exactly what happened to my mother in the end of 2018, and she was in there for almost a year. I won't go into that, but she was in there for almost a year.
They get it taken off you, don't you, after 2 weeks, is it?
Oh, yeah, they suspend your carers allowance, but then, because you don't get carers allowance, they then suspend your income support. But in my case, I was going back and forward to the hospital, so I actually had an additional hour on either end of my day because I was traveling back and forward to the hospital. I was performing exactly the same function and having to deal with all the doctors with no income, and I couldn't claim any of the other benefits because I wasn't ready for work because I was performing that function. So for a year, I had zero income.
Unbelievable.
That's
something that Jim, it's exactly the thing that Jim Manclark says on the chat. I get carers allowance for my son, but universal credit takes most of it straight back off of me.
Yeah,
it's just
I know
that.
I've spoken to Jim about that before.
Yeah.
Spoken to Jim about that. Jim, I don't know what to say, mate. You know, that's something we need to have lots more discussions about now, I believe.
Definitely.
Come these elections, maybe that should be something that should be, you know, because I watched the SNP, the briefing today, which, well, it wasn't the briefing, it was the in Hollywood today, right? I think it was today. And the thing that Patrick Harvey said, I missed his first speech, but his second comment was saying, no, why are you waiting until May, until the elections, and putting it in as an election thing? Why aren't you doing it now? I think it was to do with the school lunches, the lunch money thing, helping with the school lunches and things. I had to get that help for some reason, because Stephen is entitled to it. But even though he goes to school and has packed lunches, he prefers to pack lunches, needs to make his own lunches, I still get £20 per week off the council towards his dinners, which helps with my shopping and things, you know. However, the point is what Patrick Harvey said to the SNP, to Nicola Sturgeon, why are you leaving it as an election pledge? Why are you not doing it right now? You could do it right now. Just say, yes, okay, we're going to continue it beyond the summer rather than just until the summer. Do you know what I mean? You can step ahead and do this right now. And I absolutely 100% agree with him.
I would actually probably win them more votes as well.
An election bartering tool or whatever. I'm sorry, but you're playing with kids' lives again.
Definitely.
You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
Sorry if
let's be honest. Sorry, there's a delay. I mean, let's be honest about it. Most of the things that the SNP could do to it's really a case of if they were to modify anything and give extra cash, and it's not just about money, it's also about
Yeah.
the overall way that kind of carers are treated and things like that. But they do something, then Westminster just takes it back with the other hand because of
Yes,
the
I
way
know.
the reserve benefits are. But if they were to implement the things that they're promising in their manifesto now, I can guarantee you they would win more votes because of it. Rather than
Just
waiting and
did
Definitely.
it
saying, we'll
now.
do this if you vote for us, do it now. And then you'll win votes because you did do it, because you've just helped somebody, 3 months before the election rather than waiting until 3 months after it.
And
Definitely.
that relief that that person gets, like I said, right, I'm sorry it's kind of gone a little bit off topic, but basically, me receiving that £20 per week, it's normally, it comes in normally fortnightly, so it's £40. Pick like Morrison's is my local, whatever. Go down to Morrison's. Just a few days ago, I went and got 50 odd pounds worth of shopping, and I paid just over a tenner. That really helped me. That actually really, just that dent in my shopping bill. It, it took it. Don't get me wrong. I'm okay at the moment. My son doesn't want for foods and things like that. Do you know what I mean? I'm happy to take this at the moment because it does alleviate things and it helps me to pay all the bills and things anyway. Do you know what I mean? When you juggle things as a parent, that's what you do. But just that one thing. If I wasn't an SNP voter, no, I'll hold my hands up. I'm not an SNP member, but I've always supported SNP all my life, ever since I found out, ever since I did my own research back when I was about 14. But yeah, it basically just these things, they would make a big difference. I agree with you, Martin. They would make a really big difference
Definitely.
now rather than leaving it as a pledge for if you vote for us,
Yeah.
If it hits people now and it affects people now, it's likely to help their minds.
Yeah. All right, guys. Again, we could talk all night about stuff like that, but we do have to move on. Um, Final topic, problems during lockdown. Um, there are so many things that we can do that we could do if we were not in lockdown or if the COVID wasn't there. For instance, events. Um, Even last year, I did a virtual rally. Was supposed to be the
Birds
fourth.
behind you.
It was
The birds behind you, Raymond.
it was supposed to be the fourth rally in The Hague, but we had to do it online because of COVID. Scottish Resistance did one event in July, um, adhering to the COVID measures that were in place at that time. Um, but other than that, nothing really. We're going to do one again on May 29th. And we're going to do that together now with the Germans for Scottish independence. Um, but I get asked a lot, what can we do to help? What can we do? And that's just it. You can do. You're online now. If you want to do something, create a show, a format like this, or an event like this. If you want help doing that, contact us. We can get you sorted and instruct you on how things work like that. Um,
Hell,
Can I
take
just
two
say,
minutes.
I do get asked
exactly.
about that, Raymond. I do get asked about, oh, do you know how to set up this? And do you say, do you know what I mean? It's like, well, I'm not really that knowledgeable. I think it's more my name that follows. People seem
Yeah.
to think I can do absolutely everything. No, you forget I'm dyslexic. I'm Mancunian. And I won't
Hell's
swear.
even something as simple as, I don't know, taking 2 minutes to go over and ask the Labour and the Tory leaders in Scotland why they've been shafting carers for the last
There you
three or
go.
four decades.
There
There
you
you
go.
go.
There you go.
Bring it to the attention. Go over and go over and
Yes. If you don't ask, you
poke
don't
Douglas
get.
Russ with a stick on Twitter. So, or
Exactly. Exactly.
ask him if he's taking magic
Put 20
mushrooms.
magic mushrooms in front of
Or
him.
there's something like Nancy has done. Create a indie cafe online. And
Brilliant.
I mean,
Excellent.
yeah, brilliant. And
It's doing really well.
it is doing really well. I mean, it's something to get our minds off the whole COVID situation. It's
Yeah.
something to get our spirits up. It could be something simple but brilliant like that, to get, like I said, get spirits up. And we really need to come together, and maybe more people need to want to put something on there that gets your mind of things, but it helps also help other people get their mind of things. And I think that's yeah, more people should do stuff like that. There were a lot of people active when we were out there. Why
Yeah.
can't the same people be active online? If you need
Mhm.
help, contact us. I'll gladly help. I'll
I
gladly
think a
help.
lot of people just don't know what sort of way they would be able to. But I think um, for example, Nancy, were you starting the cafe, the Institute Cafe online cafe? Um, that just as an idea itself has now took off. So you just my suggestion to anyone is try it. Try and do an online. You see lots of live streams from different people, like Sarah Jane Black, for example, and she might just be dancing in the background and things,
Exactly.
and but she gets lots of watchers, and do you know what I mean? And it's not for anything. It's probably just for something for people to do. You know, Nancy, could you not give a bit
Yeah,
good advice on this?
but when Anne and I first discussed the Indie 2 Cafe, we wanted to create a place where people could just come in for a blether.
Mhm.
And that's the whole concept. We don't have people coming into the cafe. We do live on Zoom now,
Mhm.
but we don't have people coming in. We don't have an agenda or a topic.
Yeah,
People just come in and we just blather about whatever. And
yeah.
to be honest, we have had some brilliant laughs. I've been greeting so, but so has other people. And that's just talking about absolutely anything and everybody getting
Mhm.
involved.
Yeah.
It should really only be going on for an hour, but we're in there for 2.5 hours. Well,
I've
you know
noticed
that.
it's still on at 5 o'clock.
So that's the whole idea of MD2 Cafe is just, you know, and the majority of the women are sitting in jammies and no bras on and, looking like they've been put
So
through a
go on, jump up
but
and down.
Aye, but at the end of the day, I've said, and some people that have been very apprehensive about coming online live, I've said, look, if you were meeting us at a rally, this is how we would
Do
be,
the
sitting
same
looking at
thing.
each other and
It's the same
speaking,
thing. Yeah.
and it's getting more and more people in.
By the way, Martin, you look a little bit like a Borg with the red light here.
I think I can see that.
Resistance is futile. Can't hear you,
You're,
mate.
you're muted.
And you're freezing.
Nope, you're still
No.
muted. Try that.
Muted.
Nope, nope,
No sound.
no sound. Nope. And that's
Well,
the way to do it.
definitely. Well, hopefully he can get the sound fixed. But another problem during COVID and all the measures being put into place, um, especially with the temperatures being what they are at the moment and in the past month, the homeless, for instance. Um,
Every year, normally, I do a thingy for the homeless, the
Exactly.
clothing drive.
Like for instance, the Scottish Resistance does it as well. They go, they stock up on food or make little packages and just hand them out to the homeless, or just talk to them, acknowledge them really. A lot of people they just walk by and do nothing for them, and but only the acknowledgement does so much for them. And the thing is, when other people see for instance, again, the Scottish Resistance, for instance, but a lot of people do this. I'm not saying just them, but a lot of people do that. When people see somebody do it, when other people,
Can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you now.
Woohoo!
Well,
One more for good luck.
yeah. When other people do it, other people start doing it as well. Like they see somebody helping the homeless and they don't want to be left behind, so they do it as well. And that's what need. But during these times, do you guys think that the homeless are not thought of uh, with these measures being put into place? Daniel.
Can I suggest one problem with it all is COVID. They don't want to approach. Do you know what I mean? I mean, I'll hold my hands up. I have walked past a homeless person here in Largs. Well, they were begging and what have you, and I turned my head away and didn't want to. And it's the point was I didn't want to go near them. Right, and I'm sorry. That shows my. It's not ignorance. It's not ignorance. It's my fear. It was a fear. I don't want to
Self-preservation.
approach
Self-preservation.
strangers and things. I am an extremely vulnerable. I'm in the high category. You know, I didn't want to approach them, and I didn't want to stand meters away and go throw a coin at them. To me, that's highly derogatory. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
So I do believe there will be a massive element of that. People are not wanting to go near them. Do you understand?
Yeah.
I'm probably going to get a lot of grief online for saying that.
Well, anybody gets grief online 2 or 3 times a day anyway, so
Yeah,
it
no,
doesn't
I
matter.
can take it. It's all right. I'm banned anyway, so I can't answer it.
There you go. There you go. No, but all I meant, like, everybody has a reason not to engage with homeless people. But I'm not saying it and it's asking this to anyone in person, like, will you do that or will you do such and so? But I'm just saying, do you think more within the measures that have been put into place, um, are the homeless basically forgotten in that?
Well, they always have been historically.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It's. I don't think it's so much cruelly. Well, maybe when it comes to the Tories, yes, it is. But it's when you interact with somebody that is homeless, it's a visceral reaction because they remind you of potentially what could happen if you were to lose everything. And I think it's that sort of wanting to protect yourself kind of mentality. There's definitely a real psychological component to it. But during this pandemic, it is just obscene. The system has completely broken down because we've got to remember that a lot of the functions of trying to assist people that have been made homeless are run and operated through councils, and of course you've had so many staff on furlough that they've not been able to react. There's a backlog here and a backlog there, and they can't apply for benefits because you're not allowed to walk into the job centre, and they've got no forwarding address, so there's nothing they can do, and they can't get hold of advisors. So I don't think it's out of malice, but it really certainly is showing massive cracks in the system with regards to. Yeah, it's a collective problem. The DWP and these institutions, their system's haphazard anyway. But what COVID has shown us is that when there is a real national crisis, the system cannot handle it. There is no buffer to allow it to absorb the hit. And all of the cracks that were hidden from society in general before, and really only if you were in that system, you could see it. Now it's on full view for everyone to see. The question we therefore have to ask ourselves is, what are we going to do about it? Are we just going to let it continue to be this useless system that will fail every time there's a national crisis? Because the population of this planet is only getting bigger, which means the chance that we were long overdue for this pandemic, and I can guarantee you it is going to happen again. That's just the nature of things. It will happen again, and probably with increasing frequency as a direct result of our the exponential growth in population. So we need to really start by looking, what do we do and how do we fix this, and how do we ensure that there's the redundancy in the system to cope with that sort of shocks.
Yeah.
So.
Definitely. definitely. All right. Anyone else want to jump in?
Nancy?
Here's the thing: at the start of the first lockdown, did they not place homeless people into hotels at the first lockdown? Well, sort of eventually.
It was UK government run that at first. That was a UK government directive at first for to the Scottish government, even though it was a Scottish government. It's a devolved matter how they look after their homeless and how they deal with it, because they basically, I believe that the Scottish government was passing that to the councils, which is rightly so. It is down to each individual council. But I do believe that at first it was a UK government directive. And if you remember rightly, the homeless problem in the UK is actually a UK government problem, because most homeless head to London thinking that's where the opportunity is, but not really. Homeless isn't about just being homeless. Homeless is on a bigger scale. It's more mental health and drugs, and which boils out of mental health and so on and so forth. But sorry, carry on, Matt. Sorry, carry on, Nancy.
So did at the start of the second lockdown then at Christmas, or these people were then back out on the street when things
No,
started to ease up before it went into lockdown again? No, they
no.
were.
To the best of my knowledge, it was. I could be wrong, because I have followed it, because, like I said, at least one to two times per year, I like to do a clothing drive for the homeless and take it all through to Glasgow. Get plenty of help through the independence movement and that, But obviously, I've not been able to do it this year. From what I gathered, no, they were trying to keep them in hotels, or they were placing it on the council's doorsteps that you can't put them back out onto the streets. You have to give them alternative accommodation. But because the hotel industry didn't get given to open up again, basically, they did manage to keep a lot of them in. But I think, in general, I don't think the conditions were the best. So I think there's still so much work to be done
Of
on
course.
placing them in the
I mean,
hotels.
well, I mean, I haven't been out since before Christmas, so apart from seeing things on social media, I don't know what's going on out there. But yeah, there's people keep saying, well, the UK is what, the fifth, sixth richest country in the world.
I
So
think it's probably around about
why
the
have we
22nd now, because
well,
the tourism,
right, yeah. Why have we got people sleeping on the street?
since 2010, it's quadrupled since 2010.
I've said this a couple of times before on either of the shows. There are so many buildings sitting empty, with and a lot of squatters coming in there, and the managers of the buildings wanting them out. Why not, first of all, shelter the homeless?
Can I just say, Raymond,
Hold
right?
on, hold on, hold on. Let me just finish this. Now, shelter the homeless for one, but they will, through doing that, they be monitoring the building as well. So that's to.
There was a law passed recently. Right, I say recently. I know I don't know if it was a UK-wide law. I haven't checked that out, but I know in England several years back, and I'm probably going back maybe 10, maybe a bit more than that, years ago, there was something about this, about buildings lying empty. And when they were changing the squatters' rights laws and things like that, there is within councils now, if you're classed as either homeless or you're on a waiting list, and you spot an empty property, you can go to that council and you can say, this property is empty, I would like that property. And if that property has not been offered to somebody else, or is not in disrepair where it's not classed as livable, then they have to, by law, give you that property. But most people don't know about that law that was passed, because they never advertised it. Now, I don't know if it's a UK-wide law, but I know definitely it happened in England, because I had several friends that said, listen, nip over to council now. You tell them you just seen that house, right? You've had the workers in, they've sorted it all out. It's not been offered to anyone. Go and get it. And people got the houses. They were offered the houses.
Yeah, but
So that was my only interjection
it's
there,
something
Raymond. Apologies.
that's something we should look into. But also, I'm not just talking about homes basically that sit empty, but business buildings that are completely empty for years.
Millions of them now as well. Millions.
Exactly.
There's this
Millions.
lovely place down in London. What's it called?
Waste.
Buckingham Palace.
Yeah.
It would make an excellent homeless shelter. It's got
I knew that
loads
was
of
coming.
room, oil
140
heating.
rooms.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, it's a bit decrepit and it has a few problems here and there. But if you're living on the street, you don't really care. You know, there's an old woman there. I'm sure she'll be happy to put them up. She might even make them dinner. You never know. So
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
there we go.
Exactly.
Kick the Queen out and turn Buckingham Palace into a homeless shelter. Sorted.
Exactly.
Thumbs up.
Good plan. Good plan.
Fucking big toes up and everything.
All right, guys. We've
Sorry.
come to the end of the show. Before we go and before the final comments, uh, just a quick reminder: in about 10 minutes, we will post the Zoom link for the Bladder at the Bar for after the show in the group chat. So please feel free to click on it and enter, and we will get you in the chat as well.
I've got a
Just
bottle of Stella.
and he still got the swear jar next to him, so
And I'm keeping
the
that
the
there
rule
all night.
remains in effect. No, but just if you want to join that, please do. And we're probably gonna make that a regular thing for after every show. Um,
Yeah.
Before we do end the show, I want to do a quick roundup with final comments. Nancy, final comments for tonight.
Final comments. Okay, we've got an election coming up in May. We all know it. We can turn the country yellow. Let's do it. Keep the faith, but we really, really need to pull together. Keep your eyes on the prize. Please, if you want to have a disagreement with somebody, you know, don't be nasty about it. Explain how you feel as regards to how they feel and have a decent debate rather than just fighting. Let's run right down the centre of the park and hit that goal. Eyes on the prize, friends. Stay safe.
Definitely. Daniel.
Same sentiments. When it comes to we have got. I've been looking back on my memories and we've been saying the same things every year. For some reason, I think this year's different. I do think this year's different. We've not just got to do a clean-up, we've got to do a wipeout. We've got to get rid of as many unionists out of our parliament as possible. We need to make it as big a pro-Indy as beyond Westminster's wildest dreams. That's what we need to do. We need to this infighting, and I'm going to say it. See all you and a lot of my close friends have been doing it as well. People not agreeing with your thing, he's telling them to get off your timeline, or you're all forgetting one thing. We came together as friends through one common goal. Don't forget that common goal. You have all still got it in your hearts. Keep it there. All this infighting and bitching and right, I'm putting £2 in, right? This fucking bitching now needs to stop. Put an end to it. Just get on. These people that you've made as friends, why would you want to get rid of them now? Why? Just because they've got a different opinion. My motto has always been independence first and foremost. All else afterwards. We'll deal with it afterwards. Let's get the goal. End of story.
Definitely.
Move on. Independence. Come on. Fight
Definitely.
for what you believe in and stop fighting with your friends.
Here, mate. Martin.
As usual, I'll lower the tone just with some words of advice. Life is like a box of chocolates. If you're a diabetic, you've probably got problems. Don't eat yellow snow. You can wrap a turd in coconut, but you still can't call it a snowball. Be careful that the light at the end of the tunnel isn't the train coming the opposite direction. And if life gives you melons, you might be dyslexic.
No comment.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, I want to thank the panel, of course. I want to thank everybody in the chat because we had a brilliant turnout this week. Uh, Thank you for interacting with us and each other. I apologize for not being able to do more of the comments this week. We will get back to that next week. But thank you so much for being there and joining us in the Bladder at the Bar. Daniel,
Can I suggest one thing, Raymond?
what?
Sorry.
What?
Any suggestions from anybody what we do with when it's full with the tips jar? Not the tip jar, the swear jar when it's
Homeless
full.
charity.
Homeless charity.
Homeless charity.
Okay.
Sounds good to me.
Right. Well, suggestions are open. Okay, everybody.
Discuss it in the Bladder at the Bar.
Yeah, that's the one. Excellent. Excellent.
All right, but I just want to reiterate what Daniel said. Why would you put the whole attacking each other first instead of the common goal fighting for independence? I've been I have friends on either side of every discussion that's gone online when it concerns to the fight for Scottish independence. I'm an SNP member. I've got friends in Solidarity, AFI, and Solidarity is part of AFI, of course. But I'm just saying, you know, the whole Nicola Alex thing, friends on either side. But why would you put not only that you attack anybody that has just a different opinion on anything, but why put friends that are in the middle essential in the middle? Why would you do that? I mean, I'm basically with a lot of things. You're damned if you do, damned if you don't. And that needs to stop. We need to stand together, shoulder to shoulder, with anybody that's for independence. And if you don't, and I'm gonna get a lot of flack for this, but if you prefer to attack anybody that has a different opinion than you, instead
Get
of
off my
standing
list.
together, instead of standing together for the common goal of Scottish independence, I'm sorry, you even don't deserve the independence.
Don't put yourself above the prize.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Amen, brother.
All right. Again, thanks. Hope see you all next week,
Thanks,
but
everybody.
more so at Bladder at the Bar after the show. About 10 minutes, I'll put the Zoom link into the chat. Everybody have a good evening.
Thank you. Thanks, Raymond. Thanks, Nancy. Thanks,
Bye bye.
Martin.
See you later,
Good
guys.
Grateful.